Welcome to the Elite Performance Team podcast. Dominic Brillo and Dr. Jan Kasperowitz produce podcasts weekly with information in health and wellness, as well as guests on our podcast. If this is your first time listening, thanks for listening. If you like our content, you can find out more information on Facebook or subscribe to us on YouTube and iTunes. Today we have Shane Moran, a former NYPD police officer, as well as an avid cyclist who raced at the amateur level. Shane, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey everybody, Shane Moran here. I was a detective with the NYPD. I'm born and raised in Bergen County, New Jersey. Lived in New York City for many years, and now I live up in Rockland County. Educated in New Jersey. I went to college at University of Texas, Arlington. Got out of the NYPD in 2000 and worked on patrol in the South Bronx before getting on to the NYPD Scuba Team, where I spent the rest of my career as a diver, rescue diver in the NYPD.
So you grew up in New Jersey?
Yeah.
What part of Jersey?
Bergen County. So I was born and raised in Bergenfield, New Jersey. Yeah.
Interesting. Quote of the day. Train hard today because you can't predict what you'll ask your body to do tomorrow. Doc, what do you think about that quote?
It's actually very good and very relevant too, because we were talking about it, discussing it before we actually started today. There's two things too. It's like the way I look at it, I usually try to ride back-to-back days, and it's sometimes a little bit lazy. So I'm trying to ride a little bit. My brain is telling me to take it easy today, tomorrow can go really hard. But sometimes tomorrow's, it'll rain, or be windy, there'll be other reasons why I can't get out and ride or do your workout. So the way I look at it as work out hard or work out the way you're supposed to that day, give it your all. That doesn't mean that you're supposed to be doing 100% like max effort every single time. You need a plan. Put a plan together, follow the plan, and then this way you're going to be prepared for things that you're going to be doing in the future. How about yourself, Doc?
So as a former cop, and I'm sure Shane is going to agree with this, you need to train hard because the truth is, in that field, you have no clue what tomorrow brings. What do you think, Shane?
Yeah, I totally agree.
You need to be prepared for all kinds of shit and never know what it's going to be. So you patrolled the South Bronx.
Yeah.
Let's talk about 9/11. From the South Bronx, you were detailed down there?
Yeah, I was a rookie cop. I was on patrol for about a year. Still didn't know what the hell I was doing. Still learning the ropes. Me and my partner, two rookies together in a car, which is rare. And we worked at 4 to 12 in the 4-2 precinct, and I learned a lot, saw a lot. And I worked at night. I get off at midnight. I used to go to the gym because usually if you have something happen at work, you end up staying late more so than you have to go in early. So I get my body ready to stay up late in case I have an arrest or something like that, some overtime. So I just go to the gym, has a 24-hour gym nearby, and then I go to bed. I woke up to my phone ring in the morning, just before cell phones really, and it kept ringing and ringing, and it kept waking me up. Finally, I answered it, but you never answer the phone when you're off duty because you get called in at any time. And I pick up the phone, and it's someone at the command asking if it's me, and I'm like, right away, I'm like, oh no. Someone's calling me. I think it was the Democratic mayoral primary election was that day. So I knew there was overtime. So I was like, oh no, I'm getting called in the damn election. I'm like, She got the report immediately. I'm like, for what? I had no idea what was going on because I had been asleep. And she's like, in case you didn't know, the World Trade Center's on fire or whatever. I'm like, what? So I hammered the phone, I turned the TV, couldn't believe it. Called my partner who lived in Yonkers at the time, and then we just, I said, meet me at the command. So I drove, I only lived one precinct over, and shot to the command, got there. They started mustering people up to figure out what they were going to do. While I was on my way there, the buildings fell. At least one. I don't remember which one. And then, so we were just waiting around trying to figure out what we were going to do. They grabbed a bunch of people, got us on a bus, and took us downtown. Luckily, I had a bunch of other guys from my command that were there working, and they got sent down immediately so they actually were running from the buildings when they fell. and a few of them got injured and stuff like that. We got down there, the buildings were already down. We started searching for, they brought us down to start looking to clear buildings for see if there are any survivors or people trapped or anything. We come down, we were walking right next to building 7 when building 7 came down. So I had to run, we started running for our lives. And my memo book, which is kind of like it's like a log book you keep. It's a legal document for every job you have. It's something you have to have all the time. It flew out of my pocket as I was running. And I didn't realize I lost it until like a little while later. I'm like, oh, I lost my memo book. Oh man, I'm gonna get in trouble. A fireman finds it in the rubble that night while we're still there, but it's chaos down there. He just hands it to a cop that he sees. I think it was some cop from Queens. And he eventually he calls the 4-2 and says, we found Officer Moran's memo book in the debris of Building 7. And so they were trying to contact us. They didn't know if I was still there, if I was under the... They didn't realize I didn't know anything was going on until I got back to the command like at 2 o'clock in the morning. And they were like, oh, they see me walk in, and they were like, oh, thank God, we thought you were missing. So it was like chaos. We were there that whole night, and then I was there for several months. We were working, 16-hour shifts, 6 days a week, down the inner perimeter, doing security. It was a pretty crazy, everybody, it was a horrible experience, but, glad I was there to do my part.
Yeah, it's crazy for sure.
So then from there you transitioned to what, the scuba team, or were you already on the scuba team?
No, I was on patrol when that happened. So it wasn't until the following year that I tried out for the scuba team and was accepted. The physical is based on the Navy SEALs buzz test that they give to anybody trying to get into the Navy SEALs. So it's not Navy SEAL training, but it's like the basics. You have to pass this physical to see if you can come to the Navy SEALs and try. So we base it on that. Most of the protocols we have are based on the Navy diving protocols and stuff like that. So the physical is really hard. Then we have the written test. It's really hard, and about maybe 5% pass. We take it.
Wow.
So is it just a physical, or is it written as well?
It's a written. Yeah, it's a written, like a written test for proficiency in diving. You have to have dive experience. So you already have to be certified over the water, and they look at like where you learned, where you dive, and then you have to pass the physical. The physical is really hard. It's one after the other, bam, 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 push-ups, pull-ups, mile run, swim, underwater swim, weighted swim. Then they have a gauntlet, they call it. They put you down in your dive gear in the pool, and the other guys from the scuba team just start beating the hell out of you underwater, like ripping your mask off to see if you're comfortable in the water. Pulling your regulator out, flipping you upside down, pulling your fins off. If you go to the surface, you fail. So it's to see if you're comfortable, before they take you. You can't do that in the pool. You really shouldn't be in this river.
Yeah, it goes exactly with what our quote was: train hard today because you can't predict what we be asked to do tomorrow. Awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And even on patrol, or especially the scuba team, like exactly that. You may be sitting around all day for 12 hours with nothing going on, and all of a sudden a plane hits the water, and next thing you know, you're jumped out of a helicopter into a 3-knot current, and you have to go try to pull someone out of the water, or pull someone out of a plane or a boat, overturn a boat. It's.
Speaking of which, I believe we discussed it right before we got on. Sully's plane went down. You were there.
Yeah, I was there. I was in the boat for that one. We were actually off of Staten Island doing some training dives. It was a really cold day. It was like, I think it was February, January, February. It was like 17 degrees with the wind chill. And we got a call, it comes over the radio, of a plane in the Hudson River, which we get, it's fairly common we get those calls. Like, most of them aren't legitimate.
Do you get planes that land in the water, like the actual seaplanes?
Yeah, there's one over on the east side, down by 20th Street, that lands there all the time. It's kind of like where they land, and we'll get calls of that. I think they would usually land and take off. There's a late morning and then there's like an afternoon. And every time that would happen, it'd be like, there's a plane in the water, there's a plane in the water. So we always knew that one, based on the location. But you still take them kind of seriously because you never know that the seaplane may have overturned or something. So you still go until it gets called off by someone on the scene. So we hear that and we start going, but we're not like freaking out because we get those all the time. So we start heading up from Staten Island, you know, and then we get a call that someone on the radio says there's a movie shoot going on in Manhattan somewhere, which is the case a lot of times. He said it may be that. So we start going, okay, maybe it's nothing. So we keep going. Next thing we know is I think it was ESU was on the scene, and they say there's an airliner in the water. It wasn't like a little plane, and we heard that, and we're like, uh-oh. Because that's a cop on the ground saying he sees, so that's when we know it's real. So now I'm getting suited up, and I'm like, uh-oh, that's really bad. I've been on a bunch of plane and helicopter crashes before, but this is an airliner. So I'm figuring there's gonna be a lot of dead people.
Sure.
It's gonna be horrific.
Sure.
And we start seeing luggage coming down. As we come around the Battery, the lower part of Manhattan, we start seeing luggage floating. So we're stopping to see if it's bodies or we don't know. Start grabbing a few suitcases out, and the next one we're like, forget this, is just luggage, just keep going. So we get on the scene. We have 2 divers from the helicopter that jumped, deployed from the helicopter, and we're on the fuselage of an airliner sticking out of the water. And there was boats all around. There was ferry boats. The fire department was there. The Coast Guard may have been there. And we were trying to secure this plane as we're floating south in a full current of the Hudson River. And it's really hard to get control of a plane. That's part of it was touching the bottom probably. We got our divers out, which is really dangerous. They were ready to go into the fuselage to see if anybody was still inside. Everyone was out. We get word that everyone's out, and some people were taken to New York, some people were taken to Jersey, and it's chaos. So they think everyone's out of the plane, but we don't have confirmation. But we know we're not going to dive into the plane until we get it secured somewhere. We don't get this thing secured until the Battery. It floated all, I think it landed by the Intrepid, which is Midtown. It floated all the way down. It's toured down near the Battery by the time we tied it up. We got worried, everyone was accounted for, so we didn't have to worry about going into the plane, which is really dangerous. I dove that night with another diver to Frank Pellegrino, senior guy, taught us. Great diver. He was an instructor and trained me and most of the other guys on the team. Him and I dove and just got a strap around the fuselage so that they could hoist it up whatever the next day or 2 days later, when we had a crane there that could pull it up. So yeah, that was I couldn't believe that no one was injured. I think one person broke an ankle or something, but that was it. It was crazy.
I survived the plane crash, but I broke an ankle.
Yeah, but hey,
so
some people didn't even get their feet wet. I heard.
That's crazy.
And the ferry boat happened to be right there.
Right.
And if Sully decided to go to Long Island Sound instead of the Hudson, it would just been those 2 divers on the helicopter.
Sure.
And they didn't have enough resources to save everybody. People would have died from hypothermia or drowning from the cold water.
Sure.
Because it would have taken us forever to get there. So he landed there. There was a ferry boat right there. All the resources were right there. It was really a smart move, whether it was on purpose or not, but it just worked out perfectly.
So you worked shift work
Yeah.
as a cop in both.
Yeah, when I worked on patrol, they stopped doing the flip-flopping because it's so bad for you. Even if you're working on midnights, it's better to just do midnights than to be switching every few weeks. They used to do like a rotating schedule where they would do day tours and then 4 to 12s and then midnights. You'd rotate through. So now the NYPD, almost everyone does a set tour. So you do day tours 5 days a week, or 4 to 12s, or midnights. On patrol I did 4 to 12s, but you end up doing, you make an arrest, you may be at work until 8 o'clock in the morning, then have to go to court. So you know, you may be at work for over 24 hours awake. So, but then in scuba, we did 12-hour tours, and it was day tours, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and then overnights was 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. So, and we flip-flopped every week. So you'd have like 3 days or 3.5 days in between. It's a really good schedule, but the going from the day tours to the night tours just really wears you down.
Yeah, it totally throws off your circadian rhythms, everything inside.
Yeah, and as I got older, I really felt that.
Sure.
When I was younger and a teen, you know, I was like 30, it didn't bother me as much, but when I started getting to my late 30s, I was a zombie almost all the time.
Yep.
And I was racing. I won a state championship
And
after working all night long and then driving straight to the race in Albany and raced and with no sleep.
Wow. And that's when your body needs to recover, is basically when you're sleeping. If you're on shift work and you're still being at that high level, that's pretty amazing. That's excellent.
Until I got older, and then it was like, my body was like, no, you can't do that anymore.
Let's talk a little bit about your cycling career. So you raced as an amateur.
Yeah. I started in like 2002, 2003, I think.
And what were you, Cat?
I made it to Cat 2, yeah.
And Cat 1's the highest.
Yeah, Cat 1's the highest, and then Pro. You do Continental Pro, and then Pro Tour is the cream of the crop.
Right.
Major leagues.
And how long did it take you to get from Cat 5 to 2?
It took me a while because of my schedule. I didn't have weekends off every week, so I couldn't race as much as I wanted. And also, I'm a climber, so I'm sure the sprinters will get mad at me for saying this, but the majority of Cat 1s and 2s are sprinters, because you basically have, like in New York City, the New York City area, in the summer, you could pretty much race 4 times a week and get points for upgrade, if you can sprint. But if you can't sprint, you don't have a chance of winning those races, so you can't get points. It's really hard to get points. And then maybe I'm just biased, but I have maybe 5 or 6 races a year that I could get points as a climber. So it took me a lot longer to get there. I think it took me 10 years to move up to Cat 2. And I moved up as soon as I could get upgrade points. I would move up to the next category. Some guys stand back and stay in the low categories, so they can just keep winning until they're forced to go up.
Yeah.
Me, as soon as I got that 1 point to go over, I was like, oh, okay, I'm upgrading. I'd upgrade. I got the Cat 2 with 1 point, and I got there and been Cat 2 for 5
Were you
years now.
racing for, is it independent, or were you with a team?
I was with several teams. I was with Westwood Velo, which is Westwood Cycle in
Yeah.
New Jersey. I was with them for a long time. And then when I started our company, I decided to race. Might as well sponsor my own team.
Sure,
and
absolutely.
ride my own billboard on my just nothing against Westwood. I still use them. They're the best. But it was great to race for my own team.
Sure.
We had like 9 guys at our peak on the team.
Let's talk about some cycling injuries.
Okay.
What have you had to kind of deal with throughout your cycling career?
Oh, boys.
I've had
It's get interesting.
Road racing is, if people haven't done a road race before, I used to jump out of helicopters for a living and chase bad guys with guns, and I'll tell you what, my first Cat 5 road race in Prospect Park was the most terrified I've ever been in my life. It's literally, you're moving at sometimes 50 miles an hour with a whole bunch of people around you with varying degrees of bike handling skills. And at any moment, anyone could go down and just ruin your life.
And the road conditions, too.
The road conditions and equipment failures, just a front puncture could just send you down on the ground, which just happened to me. But my first major injury was I went over the handlebars after someone crashed into me, and I broke my collarbone, was knocked unconscious. That one, collarbones, they always say, like, you're not a real road racer until you've broken a collarbone.
Yeah, it's the most common injury, yeah.
So I got a double fracture of my right collarbone. I had a bunch of other crashes, minor, like just road rash and soft tissue. But then this past summer, I went many years without a crash, and then road race in Massachusetts, Pro 1-2, on a descent. Guy went down next to me. You can look it up on YouTube, Purgatory Road Race. And I had a front camera on my bike, and I went over the handlebars at about 40 miles an hour, landed on my upper left shoulder, and I fractured my C6 and T8 vertebrae. So my cervical and my thoracic.
I was lucky enough to get a picture, a text with a picture. I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, Jan contacted me, he was like, hey, how you doing? Ready to come in and work on my knee injury, another injury? But, and I was like, I won't be in for a while. And I had sent a picture of me in my brace where I was in the hospital for 3 days, and I had to wear a full thoracic and cervical brace for, I had it on for probably 6 weeks. I mean, I would take it off when I was sitting on the couch once the orthopedist let me. And so that was the worst injury, and I was really close to being paralyzed or dead. So, and again, wasn't my fault. Guy went down next to me, and there was nothing I could do. Sure. And so that ended my road racing. I decided to retire from that dangerous sport and focus on other things. I'll still be riding, and I'll do a lot of gravel, which is a little safer. You still get hurt, but usually when I crash gravel or cyclocross or something, it's usually my own fault, so I can deal with that.
And you're basically just kind of on your own skill level when you're doing the gravel.
Yeah. So you can, in road racing, you like, in this race, the road conditions were terrible and we were going really fast. It was, and he went down, he said he got a front puncture, but I don't know. He went down and there's nothing I could do. I just hit it, my front wheel hit his body. I just was launched. I just can't deal with that anymore. I'm going to be 46. I'm not going to the pros. I just think to myself, what am I doing here? It's just not worth it. It wasn't worth it. So, make your own decisions. It's a very dangerous sport.
Probably smart.
Yeah, that's why gravel's exploding. I think people are really, number one, the cars on the road, and the danger of road racing, and the amount of training you have to do just to even be pack fill is really hard. You got to train 15, 20 hours a week in a Pro 1-2 race just to hang on.
I mean, road cyclists are tough. If you would have seen, I think it was this year's Tour de France, or maybe it was last year, where the guy literally fell over a cliff.
Yeah, that's happened a few times.
He fell like 15 feet, and then he got back up, got onto his bike, continued riding, but I think he fractured his knee.
Yeah, I think that was Gilbert.
Yeah.
He did that 2 years ago, I think. Yeah, and Bernard Hinault is famous for going off the road and the Tour de France and climbing back up blood pouring down his face and finishing and winning the stage.
It seems like there's never a stage where somebody's not bleeding, right?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of major injuries in road racing at the pro level. Even there's been several deaths over the past few years, just because just you're going down. When I was in the ER with my broken neck and back, the nurses were like, well, you were wearing pads? I was like, pads? She's like, what were you wearing? You were wearing protection, right? I'm like, this is what I was wearing. And she looked at me and said, that's insane.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, we're going down. I hit last year at Green Mountain Stage Race, the Cat 2 field, coming down after the first KOM, I hit 63 miles an hour in a group. And even I was like, if anything happens right now, we're dead.
The amazing thing was that after your injury, you were off the bike for a while, and then you went and did the 10,000-foot elevation race.
That was a ride. It was the hillier than thou.
Hillier than thou, which I know a couple people did.
New Jersey.
It was the hardest thing they've ever done.
It's brutal. I've been trying to do it for like 5 years.
And then which place did you come in?
It was third. I mean,
Third.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's like probably like a week to a week and a half before you're gonna do it. We were talking, you seemed as if you're not gonna do it.
Yeah,
No, I ain't gonna do it. No, I ain't gonna do it. I ain't gonna do it. And then we came in the following week and like, yeah, I did it. I came in third.
I didn't decide until like 3 in the morning when I woke up in the middle of the night. I was like, because I had to get up like really early to get there.
Where is it?
I forget what it's like. It's not far from Pennsylvania, like central western Jersey. I forget the name of the town. But it's like, you don't think there's that hilly, but it's just non-stop super steep climbs.
Yeah, one of
all
our-
day long.
yeah,
Like it
one-
never stops.
One of our patients, Andreas, actually came in first.
Yeah, Andreas. Yeah, him, me, and one other guy were from E2 Value, Gabriel, I think his name is. We were off the front together. We were just riding. Yeah, Andreas has done it many times. He's done it every year. And eventually, I couldn't keep up. At mile 92, I was finally like, "See you later, guys. I just can't," you know. And yeah, that was really hard. If you haven't done it, try it out and see how you like it. But for me, and I'm a climber, I was like, this is insane. Even the last 5 miles, this is just super steep, 15% climb you have to go up. So I was just like all day long, you know. Doing that a few times in 100 miles is fine, but I don't know. That was one of the hardest things I've ever done.
Shane, you're a vegetarian.
Yeah, I've been a vegetarian since 2003.
How do you feel? Has that made you better with cycling? How do you feel with that guy?
I definitely felt better. I look at pictures of myself from before then, you know, right? And I was younger. I was puffy. I was in the gym all the time. I wasn't an endurance athlete really at the point. I was mountain biking a lot and stuff, but I wasn't a full-on endurance athlete. But I looked puffy, and that was the dairy, I think. I eat a little dairy here and there. I'll never give up pizza, you know, but I don't drink milk at all anymore. I stopped drinking milk years and years ago. I have a little bit of cheese here and there, and if I have to, I'll eat fish if I'm out, or if I'm, and I'm not militant or anything. Like when I travel, we travel, my wife is French, you know, we go to Europe a lot, we go to South America. When I travel, I eat what's available. So when we were in Argentina, I was eating steak almost every day because that's what you eat, you know. So I'm not like that. And plus, I feel like, you know, part of learning a culture is eating the food. Right? And you can't bring your diet everywhere you go. For me, I do my best, but when I'm traveling, I'll do what I have to do.
Yeah, I think it's important to be socially lenient too.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, I don't freak out if I find this something in my food, you know. But I'm pretty much plant-based the majority of the time. A little bit of fish and dairy every once in a while, but no milk. But I feel one of the biggest things, especially now as I'm getting older, is especially with cyclists. Like in the winter, a lot of my friends, a lot of guys, they'll put on 10, 15 pounds in the winter, and then have to try to lose that weight in the spring. And since I've been plant-based, my weight, I mean, other than my race weight, which I get artificially low, so I get down 127 pounds and 5% body fat.
What do you normally?
I'll be right now I'm 130, 131. So in the winter, I'll usually get, the most I'll get is 132, 133. And so you get a little bit of winter insulation, you know? But it comes off right away as soon as the warmer weather comes up. I don't gain that weight in the off season. I mean, your body, especially this time of year, I find it too. My body wants to eat more. I feel myself just eating even though I'm not hungry. Because they're saying, hey, you can't be 5% body fat in the winter. Your body biologically is going, you're going to die, you're going to starve to death. Because it doesn't understand that I'm not going to starve to death. So I kind of find myself eating more. But because it's all plants, I don't put on a huge amount of weight, at least in my experience. So.
No wonder why you can climb Doc.
Yeah,
130
right,
pounds.
yeah.
We're not.
It's skinny.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your business, Shane. So you started a business with your wife?
Yeah, my wife she's amazing. Board certified holistic nutritionist. She started out as a spin instructor, and then just went from there. She's NASM certified. She got yoga certified in India, Pilates. She does everything. And she started her nutrition company called Goji Fitness, with the goji berry, G-O-J-I. And I was still on the job and started helping with that in the back end. And then a year after that, we started a raw vegan superfood protein powder.
Is your wife vegetarian or vegan?
She's pretty much vegan now, but
Okay.
she wasn't that at all. You know, she had to for health reasons. So she's a reluctant vegan. So she has to be gluten-free, she cannot have gluten. And being French, it's really,
Right.
bread and cheese is just part of the culture. But yeah, she's pretty much vegan all the time. But when we met, she wasn't. She was actually like really grilling me on my vegetarianism. She's like, wait a minute, do you eat cheese? When we first started dating? I'm like, yeah, I eat cheese. She's like, okay, that would be a deal breaker. And now, no, it's funny because now she can't eat cheese. I'm like, this is a deal breaker. You can't eat cheese anymore. But yeah, but she sees clients from all walks of life, whether they're athletes, people who are sick with all different types of, from cancer to autoimmune diseases, so she does that. Plus she teaches at Crunch gyms in the city and other boutique spin studios and gyms, and sees private clients for personal training and nutrition counseling, health coaching, anything like that. And then we started this product, Zenberry, we call it, because we were experimenting with our own like smoothies and stuff for me for recovery, for cycling, and we couldn't find anything that on the market at the time that was healthy and good, that also tasted good. And so we're like, well, why don't we try something ourselves? So her and her good friend and partner, business partner, is a holistic nutritionist too out in Canada, and they came up with these first couple of formulas, which are all vegan, with no added fillers or junk in it, no chemicals, no added sugar, and they taste good. Which is, as you know, I've tried millions of them, and you're like, this is really good for me, but it tastes like lawn clippings, and you're like, I can't. And I still choke it down because I just do it,
right?
Because if this makes me faster on the bike, I'll drink it.
That's right.
So we started with that, and just making it for ourselves and our friends and family, and then started building from there. Like, oh, maybe we can actually sell this stuff. So we started I started mixing formulas in my kitchen, and then we started using the shift kitchen in Brooklyn, and we lived in Brooklyn at the time. And we would mix it ourselves, and you rent space in a certified kitchen, mix stuff, and you bag it up and be shipped out to clients and stuff, and grew from there. And since then, I've been kind of do the back end for the Goji Fitness part of it, and I also handle all the Zenberry stuff. So we've come out with several other formulas after that. We have one's chocolate based on greens and probiotics. I made one with coffee. It's the same thing, but everyone knows love coffee, especially cyclists. So we have one that's called Holy Frap. So like holy crap.
Right.
Frappuccino. So it's like a Frappuccino but healthy. And then we have a few other ones. One's a vanilla chai. So and then we have a vanilla berry, and that's it.
And everything's through internet. Everything off the
Yeah,
website.
yeah. We had a few boutique places in the city, but it's just everything today is pretty much direct to consumer.
Yeah.
So that's the way to go. So we primarily do it from our website, all social media at Zenberry Mix or at Goji Fitness. It's been a fun adventure. And the Zenberry is about a third of the business. Most of it's the private clients and the coaching. So it's been fun. And after a few years, I actually left the NYPD early to focus on the business.
That's excellent. We're going to add everything in the show notes with how they can get in touch with
Yeah, it's
your
great.
website. Absolutely.
Any social media handles you want to?
Yeah. Everything's the handles are at Zenberry Mix or at Goji Fitness. So it's on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
What's your favorite product that you have?
Mine's the Holy Frap. It's my favorite. It's like you mix it with I use frozen banana, some blueberries, and like almond milk, and I get it like really like a milkshake. It tastes just like a frappuccino. And there's no added sugar, no junk, and I like the little bit. We use organic espresso from roasted here in New York, and we just add that a little bit of cinnamon to the Zenberry greens that we have, and it's just great. Like post workout, it's just awesome.
Sure.
So I get back from my ride, I throw that in. You get a little bit of caffeine to help boost the glycogen uptake, and then you get the carbs and a little bit of protein. It's not a protein shake, so it's only like 9 grams of protein. It's more of a all around healthy drink. And
Yeah, replenishers of glycogen stores that they work out.
Yeah, yeah.
Smart, yeah.
So that's what we have going on with that, yeah.
Very good.
That's it.
Doc, anything in closing?
No, it's fantastic. Looking forward to crossing the samples, looking forward to trying something.
Definitely.
Very good.
Well, Shane, thanks for coming on.
No problem, thanks for having me. I hope I added some fun content.
Without a doubt.
For sure, for sure. If you like our content, you can subscribe to our podcast on YouTube and iTunes, and please share it with your friends or anyone who may be interested in our content. Until next time, train your brain, train your body.